Hello and welcome. In this explainer, we're diving into what is, frankly, the most critical stage of your entire academic journey, the application. This is where everything comes together, right? It's the moment when all that theory from lectures and textbooks finally gets put to the test to create something real. So you've put in the hours, you've sat through the lectures, you've done the reading, you've absorbed all these foundational models and frameworks. The big question is, now what? How do you take all of that knowledge that's in your head and actually turn it into action? Ultimately, everything you've studied, it all culminates in this one single defining challenge. This is that moment where you have to prove that you can do more than just remember information. You have to show you can use it strategically. This is really where you stop being just a student and start becoming a professional. Now take a look at this sentence. At first glance, it might seem like a pretty straightforward instruction, right? But it is so much more than that. Think of this as your mission statement. It's the blueprint for how you're going to translate what you know into something that has a real impact. Okay, so let's really dig into this by breaking that sentence down. We're going to start with the very first part, the concepts learned. What does that actually mean at this point in your journey? Let's be really clear here. A concept in this context isn't just some definition you memorize for an exam. It's a tool for thinking. For example, let's take something like net present value, or NPV. It's not just a formula you plug numbers into, no way. It's a powerful diagnostic tool that lets you take a potential investment, pull it apart, understand what its future earnings are worth today, and then put it all back together to make a smart decision. And your intellectual toolkit right now is absolutely packed. You've got frameworks for critical analysis. You've got techniques for financial modeling like discounted cash flow, strategic models like Porter's 5 forces. I mean, the list goes on. These aren't just chapter headings in a textbook anymore. They are real, powerful instruments that you have at your disposal, ready to go. Okay, so with that toolkit in hand, now we get to the heart of the matter, solving a real-world, business-related problem. So what exactly makes a problem real, and how is it different from the exercises you've been doing in class up until now? Well, think about it. The problems you've seen so far, they were designed for learning. They were intentionally clean, controlled little environments where you're given all the information you need. But the real world, well, it's anything but clean. It's messy, and it's ambiguous. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. A textbook problem says, given X and Y, find Z. Simple. But a real-world problem is more like, okay, we've got a mountain of messy data. Different departments are all fighting for resources, and the budget is kind of up in the air. So what's our best move? See the difference? There isn't one single right answer. There are usually several possible solutions, and each one comes with its own set of pros and cons that you have to weigh. This is why the key action word here is apply. Application is the bridge. It's what connects your amazing, organized toolkit of concepts to the messy, unstructured problems of the real world. It's that huge leap from just knowing something to actually doing something with it. And this isn't just random. It's a strategic process. First, you diagnose the situation. What's the real problem we're trying to solve here? Next, you select the right tools for the job. You wouldn't use a complex financial model to solve a simple interest problem, right? Third, and this is the really clever part, you synthesize. This is where you might combine a data analysis with a strategic framework. You adapt your tools to the problem. And finally, you execute. You build a solution that's not only logical, but also backed up by the data. Which brings us to the final, and I would say the most important piece of that original instruction. It's not enough to just find an answer. You have to go a step further. You have to demonstrate your understanding. Let's look at that phrase one more time. Demonstrating their understanding of the material. This is the whole point. The final answer is only half the battle. The other half is proving that you know exactly how and why you got there. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it means explaining the why behind your solution. It means justifying why you picked one option over the others. A really common mistake is to just give a final number. True mastery is showing your work, acknowledging the risks of your plan, and explaining why, for example, Project A is better than Project B, even if Project B has a slightly higher return. You have to communicate your complex solution so clearly that anyone can follow your logic, and most importantly, trust your judgment. So as you tackle this final project, try to remember what it really is. It's not just another assignment you have to do to get a grade. Think of it as the very first professional blueprint you'll ever create. It's a real, tangible piece of work that showcases your ability to think, to analyze, and to create value. This project is your proof of concept. It proves you can make that jump from theory to practice. So the only question that's really left to ask is, now that you've laid this incredible foundation and you've drawn up your first blueprint, what are you going to build next?